Right on time.
Professionals. Been doing this for a little while. You have any cocktails?
Yeah.
Got a little bourbon.
Ooh, you're going heavy early.
Yeah, I might pass out before the end of the show. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always on this balmy July Thursday. My good friend Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
It is a little warm out.
Ooh-ha. Down here in Atlantic City, I will tell you the temperature here, the temperature is 82. The real feel is 97. That's quite a gap.
It's 95 here. It feels like 106. It's brutal. My buddy's like, "You want to go play golf this weekend?" I go, "Nope."
Next week.
I'll play Sunday when it's 80. I'm not playing Friday or Saturday.
Big change coming Sunday, which will be nice. So we'll see. We're talking about maybe going down to or up to, for us, it's up to Great Adventure tomorrow to the water park over there.
Good. Yeah.
To the water park for a few hours, and then maybe if we're feeling it, maybe we'll hit the regular park at like 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that.
Oh, good. Peak heat, 4 o'clock. Excellent. Good idea.
Yeah. I don't mind. You know how it is.
I hear you.
So we have a ton of stuff. I don't know how much we have to spend, how much time we have to spend on each one of these things, but we actually have a lot of breaking news. We have our AFC South. Definitely need to talk British Open. You had some news for us we're going to go over some things with Northwestern and Harbaugh, which is kind of news to me. But why don't we start with some breaking news? We'll start with the bazaar first. I almost didn't even know what I was looking at. Earlier this week, I believe it was Tuesday as we sit here on Thursday, the news comes through the wire that Bronny James has had a cardiac arrest during USC basketball practice. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's totally crazy. And to me, listen, we try to, for the most part, we stay out of any kind of politics and stuff like that. But there does, as we look at some of the things that have happened over the last, I'll say, year in sports, it seems like, I'll at least say this, it seems like there's been an inordinate amount of college athletes either having heart attacks or even pro athletes who are in their 30s, heart issues, heart attacks, or dying, and sometimes not even on the field. Like, I remember there was a Division I AA football player during the off season who died just on campus. And just from a curiosity point of view, it does beg the question of whether or not these relatively new vaccines had anything to do with it. We do know, at least factually, that myocarditis was an issue with some of these things and some heart issues. Some of it's conjecture, some of it's fact. Who knows how much? I think there's new information coming out all the time, but they're very new. You know, the Damar Hamlin thing, we were all just like, dude, what the hell? So it does beg the question, at least. Now, whatever your beliefs are, it should at least spark a question that says, I don't even know, and frankly, again, not trying to take sides on this, I don't even know if Bronny James was vaccinated, so I don't know. But it's something that should be discussed. I think it should be at least considered.
So I have a couple buddies that are really, what's the word? Conspiracy theory.
Okay.
People. And some of those and other people are combination of antivirus, anti-vax, anti-whatever. I would always rub it off like, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but I do what's best for me and my family, blah, blah, blah,
absolutely.
blah, blah. However, to your point, at some point, this has really got to start becoming a definite question. If all these people are vaccinated, if all these people were vaccinated, we really got to start maybe doing some more research here, because this is getting to be 19 years old, best shape of his this is, dude. Come on, man.
It's and you would think, you go through a physical, especially when you're an athlete. When you go to college, you go through a pretty rigorous physical. They check you out. And I think that's all that I'm saying, and I think that's very fair. I think anybody's like, you see what's happening? All right, let's slow down. Right. Because what we do know is the number one cause of death among college athletes is heart attack. Long before we ever had COVID or COVID vaccines. So but we do need to slow down. But I do think it's like you said. I think it's worth at least asking, and I don't know, putting it out there to the people that should or could answer or be in a more prominent position than us to get those questions answered. It's fair, I think, at this point. That's all. I hope it's not. Like, don't you want to think that it's not vaccines that kept some people, maybe a lot of people, from dying or getting severely ill during COVID? I don't want it to be that. So I don't know if that changes how anybody looks at what I'm saying, but you got to at least ask, because it does seem like there's been a bit of a rash of like these situations, whether they're dying or getting having real serious complications in situations. So it's just amazing. 19 freaking years old, just cardiac arrest. It's a goddamn heart attack, basically, folks. Like, that shit is not supposed to happen. Like, not at all. So it's wild. It's just freaking wild.
I saw LeBron commented before that everybody's doing okay, but I didn't hear anything about his future. Take a year off. I'm sure it's way too early to tell that stuff, but
sure, yeah. Well, it's the same question we have with DeMar Hamlin, right? Like, he's playing. He just started camp a day or two ago, and it's like, man, are we sure about this? Like, you need to be really sure. And I would suspect it's the same thing with Bronny. Like, you need to be really sure, like, you're ready. As a doctor, forget the kid. I'm sure the kid is going to want to come back ASAP. But, like, as a doctor, man, you got to be really sure to clear somebody with that.
You ever see the movie The Sixth Man? Probably in the mid-'90s. Marlon Wayans was in it. Basketball team from Washington.
Yeah.
And his brother had a heart attack. He went for a dunk and had a heart attack on it. Like, dude, that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's become so goddamn real life that
Listen, again, I don't know. Maybe it's just like 24-hour news between sports and news channels. Like, there's just always breaking news and the websites and everything on your phone. It just seems to me like there's been a significant uptick in the number of these types of incidences. I don't know, and I hope it's not, COVID-related or vaccine-related. But, man, 19 years old, man.
It's creepy.
You should be asking these questions, at least that question, just for that alone. Like, we would want someone to be on high alert, or to maybe there's something they could check for. Hey, we didn't keep an eye out for this before, and you didn't have a problem, but you took the vaccine. Go get checked. Or whatever's causing this. I don't know. It's crazy, but it is just bananas, so it's just kind of a big deal. Also this week, this is a story that certainly made me happy, but it also floored me. Aaron Rodgers, it's not even, so what do they usually call it when you not renegotiate your contract, you kind of restructure.
Restructure, yeah.
This is not a restructuring of Aaron Rodgers' contract. So just a quick overview. The Jets did some kind of voodoo, cap magic, where they were only going to pay him $1.5 million this year, but then they were going to owe him $100 million next year, which is obviously untenable. Like, you can't function in that way. Well, it comes out yesterday that Aaron Rodgers basically threw out his old contract and signed a 2-year contract, fully guaranteed $75 million, which, for those of us that are mathematically challenged, is $37.5 million a year. That makes him wildly underpaid when you consider the top quarterbacks in the league.
Absolutely.
It's a goddamn steal. He basically walked away from $35 million. Now, obviously, this is good for the Jets because either they can sign new players now, go for, maybe there's a trade out there for a lineman. I don't know. I don't know what they want to do. But to me, what was the story about this was who is this guy? You and I have been, just hammering him for the last 2 years before he became a Jet about what kind of a dick he was, insisting on more money, insisting on players. And here he is. He signs this 2-year contract, and in the press conference, it's Jets gave up a lot to get me, 2 first-round picks, and I don't know what's going to happen with my body, but it seems a little weird for me to just say I'm going to be here for a year. So, this is at least what I think is right. And it was who is this fucking guy? That was the part that blew me away. I don't recognize this guy anymore.
I know.
Forget the Jets part of it. Just the guy. It's blowing me away.
a couple things. One, was he that unhappy in Green Bay? Did he hate the GM and the owner that much?
Like seem that way. He got very vitriolic. Yeah.
Number two, I feel like he's going to get money somewhere, somehow here. To leave, listen, I know he makes a lot of money, but who's leaving $35 million at the door, dude?
That's not $10 million. Plus, you're paying higher taxes living in New York, New Jersey,
sure,
wherever he is actually living, so you're paying even more taxes. Dude, listen, Aaron Rodgers has made well north of $100 million in his career. Who knows how much money he made with State Farm and all the commercials he did with them, and will continue to do commercials because he's a photogenic guy. People like him.
Yeah.
I don't think the money, I think he can make money anywhere he wants, any way he wants. I'm sure he's got money invested in certain businesses, Propel, who the hell knows. But that's a lot. That's more than just a team-friendly deal. I mean, that puts him like middle of the pack in the NFL, maybe even lower. I don't even know. It's really shocking. It's just and it's like who it was, what he did, and what we've seen for the last 2 or 3 years. Can you remember seeing this kind of like role reversal in a player before? I guess that's where I'm getting at. Like, this guy was the exact opposite. Here he is. We're hearing stories of him being a great leader on the field. He's showing Zach Wilson the ropes. He's pulling wide receivers to the side and I don't know who this guy is.
So I have a guy, but he wasn't a player. It was a player to a broadcaster, where he was scrutinized and a lot of it to his own fault. A-Rod.
Oh, sure. Okay.
A-Rod, when he was a player, to now as an analyst, and he comes
much more likable now.
So likable, intelligent, knows baseball like the back of his hand, like dude. But as a current player, as a current athlete, man, I can't name you one off the top of my. Kobe Bryant, maybe at the end of his career, became more likable.
Oh, I don't know that he was unlikable.
He was unlikable. He was a little bit when he was with Shaq and they'd bicker and they could have won 6 championships in a row and they threw that away. He was unlikable. But then
was he unlikable to the fan?
Yeah, it's true. Maybe not so much to the fan. Yeah, it's true.
I hear what you're saying. And listen, there's Tom Brady took pay cuts, but he always took pay cuts. Drew Brees certainly started taking more pay cuts at the end of his career. But I don't know that either of those two guys were ever unlikable. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was like the Yankees. Like, you either love him or you fucking hate him. Yeah. And a lot of people hated him. So I'm just shocked. I mean, it is wonderful, wonderful news for the Jets, but I'm more interested in the story of the guy. Yeah. It's just so opposite of everything we've talked about for at least 2 years.
It's going to be a fun year, man. One way or the other, it's going to be. If he falls on his face, or if they go fucking 14-4 or 3, whatever. It's
going to be fascinating.
And now look, bro, if he takes that pay cut, now you go out and get a Dalvin Cook. He's visiting the Jets right now.
Absolutely, right. That's the first guy in people's mouths.
And that's so,
to get Dalvin Cook.
And that's so funny.
He's visiting with them this weekend.
We were saying every AFC team East last week except the Jets.
He's visiting with the Jets this weekend, and I think he has a scheduled visit with Miami after that. But yeah, it's a shocker with the amount. I'm not surprised that he renegotiated. I'm just surprised at what he left on the table. It's not like he restructured and he'll get it down the road. Like, he basically trashed the old one and signed this new one. So
crazy,
utterly amazing. Also yesterday, or was it today? Maybe it kind of came out today. I think the podcast Sean Payton was on was yesterday, but the news really broke today about some of the things that he said about Nathaniel Hackett. I'm going to let you take the lead here. Like, usually coaches don't do this. Like, they kind of just play it close to the vest. Hey, I'm sure the guy did the best he could. Circumstances sometimes just dictate what's going to happen. Like, Sean Payton laid into Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, there isn't too much coach-on-coach crime, at least current coach-on-coach crime. Rex Ryan had a little bit of it, I guess, at some point, but that's to be expected with Rex.
Right.
So, Sean Payton, now the current coach of the Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett, ex-coach of the Broncos, current offensive coordinator for the Jets. Sean Payton said that he left his team in absolute disarray, that they couldn't even – Russell still has a lot in the tank. They made him look bad. They couldn't even get a play-in called on time. They didn't have the right many guys on the punt team, which we've been over time and time again as a Bronco fan on this thing. So this is kind of something that we knew about already. However, like you said, hearing it from a Super Bowl winning coach, as a coach to another coach still in the league,
About the guy you just replaced.
And they play each other again this year.
Yes.
Listen, did a lot of the things he said was right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's probably 9 for 10 or at least.
The only thing I would say he was a little wrong on was that he basically put no blame. He took all blame off of Russell Wilson.
Well, I think that's because he has to.
Well, I'm just saying. Then don't say anything. I'll get to my reaction in a minute. I guess.
So one more thing for me is, you better win.
Okay.
Russell better look fucking very good.
So that's
because if he doesn't,
you look like a fucking jackass.
Fuck, man. God damn it. Can we have one fucking off season without any?
So this is okay. So you're making my point exactly. Like, this is why it's bad business. And I don't know if he's just hitting the bong all the time. And we talked about during the winter.
Shit, that was Snoop Dogg. He's Snoop Sean now for
hitting the weed. Maybe he's just smoking that weed when he was on the podcast and just let it rip. It's
God.
bad business. It's bad business because now you have to win. And it's so funny that 1 week ago today, I asked you what's more likely: Russell Wilson throws for 4,500 or they beat Kansas City twice.
I'm going both. Let's go.
I was going to say, now you kind of need both, or else you look like a douche. Like, not you. You know, he looks like an idiot. God, if they miss the playoffs, and how many wins did Denver have last year? 6? 5? You know, you win just 6 or 7 games, you look like a retard. You look like an idiot. It just is. It's a really bad look because you're probably in last place, or at least third, and you're not making the playoffs. It's like, well, you're going to blame Nathaniel Hackett this year. What if, Russell Wilson gets hurt again, which he's gotten hurt 2 years in a row now. He never did in his career. Now he gets hurt 2 years in a row. And now he throws for, 3,850 yards, 25 touchdowns with 17 interceptions. Like, you just, why do, it's just bad business, man. Bad business.
So, ironically enough, the two longest tenured teams in the NFL not making the playoffs are our two favorite fucking teams.
Are you serious?
I believe I am.
Denver's got the second longest.
It's definitely the
streak?
Jets. Denver's, I think, second.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
And now the way you guys are going, what you say?
So we should cancel this podcast.
At least till one of us makes the playoffs.
What are we talking about?
Playoffs? Yeah, so the way you guys are going, although I warned all Jeff fans last week that this is the same path we went down last year.
Absolutely.
You guys got a better chance right now to make the playoffs than we do. However, one of us has to.
It's funny because our divisions are very similar.
I know. I was just thinking that too. That's why I hesitated at
but
the
everyone's
end.
pretty good. Even the last place
good
team
coaches,
is pretty good. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Tough division, man. I don't know why you do. I don't know why you like put yourself on blast like that.
Real quick, Dan Patrick. Did you listen to Dan Patrick this morning?
I didn't.
This is right up our alley. I was laughing. They're going over some NFL stuff, and he goes, "I'm off the Chargers bandwagon. I don't care what they do. I'm done with this. I don't." And I'm like, I know, man. It's fine.
I know. Colin Cowherd was saying the exact same thing today. He's like, I can't find a single hole in that team. I can't find a single thing that's wrong with that team until I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs.
That's ridiculous.
Like, they just have a way of constantly letting you down for one way or another, whether it's injuries, funkiness, coach.
So true.
You and I certainly don't like the coach, but we'll get to that division another day. So I just thought that was strange because, let's be honest, Sean Payton's never really done anything like this before either. That's also what's interesting. It's one thing when you're out of coaching and you're an analyst. I kind of like that. Like, hey, this is your job now. Like, say it like it is. But you're back in now. Like, now you don't do that. Like, and why put a target on your chest? Maybe even from other teams. Like, who else is he going to talk about? Like, or friends of Nathaniel Hackett. They're like,
and listen, man, not for nothing. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Number one, I'm sure he's got some skeletons in there. He served the suspension. He served the suspension for a bounty gate already. So I mean, he's not crystal clear. And number two,
that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point.
Right? Like,
really good point. Yeah, you're not holier than thou.
I forgot what number 2 is, but yeah, I mean, it's like no, you're good. It's just. You got to be careful, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I guess that's my big. But you're right, though. I mean, he's not wrong. Except for the Russell Wilson stuff, because we pointed out as we actually like quasi broke down some film watching him, he made a lot of bad mistakes that professional quarterbacks don't make. Like Zach Wilson mistakes.
Dude, missing wide open guys that are 6 feet in front.
Wide open. I mean, how many times did we point out whether it was Kirk Herbstreit or
Aikman or
pointing
Romo,
out, going over the play and saying, there's no pressure, guys wide open, easy read.
One of your best athletes, get him the ball, let him run with it.
That happened multiple times. So I think it's also unfair. And I think that's also why it puts a bad target on you. Like, okay, well, you better win 10, 11, 12 games now, or else you look like a fool.
Yeah.
And when you're going up against the Chargers in Kansas City and the rest of the AFC, it's easier said than done. So
I wonder
we'll see what happens.
I wonder if Payton's going to have Russ look inside out, like look shorter than longer.
Never been his thing, man. He's always been a perimeter passer because he's short.
Dude, I know. But
it's hard.
He missed everybody underneath last year, all season long. So
if anybody could get him to do it, it would be Sean Payton because, frankly, Drew Brees never had a problem throwing over the middle.
Brees, Michael Thomas had 140 catches with Brees. So I mean,
and how many of those were over the middle? Like a lot. So listen, the guy's a great coach. He's not wrong mostly, but I don't know why you put
you're poking the bear. Not that Hackett's like a bear, but like you're just.
Well, to be fair, Saleh already came out today and like kind of, it was a very mild comeback and said, hey, if they're not talking about you, you're not interesting. He said, we're glad he's here. We got them on their schedule. We'll see how it goes.
The NFL's like a brotherhood. You don't want to start doing that shit, though. Like
I totally agree. I totally agree. This is not shit talk between a cornerback and a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in the middle of competition, these are two fucking 50-year-old men talking shit. Like
and we always bring it back to some of the guys we see.
Hackett didn't do a thing. Yeah, really. So it's
we bring it back to some of the guys we see on TV. And Coward is always one of the first ones that says, I don't like when quarterbacks get chirpy. Like he kind of got in Justin Fields' case last week when Justin Fields said he's the top 5 running quarterback of all time. Like, okay, first of all, you've been in the league for 5 minutes. Second of all, you got a 5-20 record. So it's like, shut your mouth.
Oh my God, he said that. I didn't hear him say that.
He said that last week. But it's okay but he likes what Sean Payton said. It's like, then you're totally a hypocrite. It's either it's good to do that or it's not. Like
is Justin Fields like live on another planet or like what are you talking? Why even say anything?
Well, he's a great running quarterback because it's all he can do right now. I mean, what are we talking about?
But
here,
that's what I mean. He's not Michael Vick that made it like early on he was lighting the fucking world on fire. Like come on, man.
That's all he's got. He's not happy.
Well, that's another guy and the coach with a lot of pressure on them now with some weapons and
absolutely, absolutely. And we'll get to that another day. Last news, breaking news today. I mean, literally an hour or so before we came on here, it broke that Jalen Ramsey used to be with the Rams, Super Bowl winning cornerback for the Rams, kind of one of those rare shutdown corners, gets traded to Miami, and just today gets carted off the field during practice. Leg injury, no word yet on whether it's like ACL. I'm sure they got to go through the MRI and all that kind of stuff, but that hurts. If it's what it seems to be or could be, dude, that's the kind of player that really can make a difference on how your season's going to go. Especially your pass rush. If your corners are holding, we talked about this with the Jets, right? You got 2 lockdown corners. It makes your pass rush that much better. Well, you just lost Jalen Ramsey. What does that mean? What does that mean for your pass rush? What does that mean for your pass defense?
What's the guy? Hold on one second. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was an Eagle, was a Saint for a minute. Now he signed with the Lions, another one of those big defensive back moves. The other day he went down, same thing in a heap, non-contact injury, knee, and they said he came back clear. So hopefully it's the same kind of thing. But dude,
even though he's on Miami, I don't
root for practices. You're afraid to open up your phone. You're gonna look. You feel like the fucking world's ending, dude. Like
I know, bro. You sent me that video from Twitter, and I watched Garrett Wilson just like go down after catching a ball. He kind of like slid down or so, or his feet got out from under. I'm like, oh my God, he tore his ACL. Like I don't even want these guys getting tackled.
I know, dude. Skinny legs just like fall down. Like
no, man, it's like terrifying when these guys just move. So. Anyway, that's it for the breaking news. A lot for us today. A little unusual style today. But
it's so funny, man. That's why football is the king. Because we went we had like 4 episodes like all summer leading up to it. Now like we're like fucking pounding it home with stuff.
I know. I texted you, hey, I got a couple extra stories, and you're like, okay, 3-hour episode. Like we go from not having much to having more than we can handle.
That's exactly where I was going with that when I said it. I'm like, we went from having weeks off to now like running through shit.
We're well rested.
Yeah, that's true.
AFC South, start us off, my man.
Let's go. Let's start with the last year's champion. An absolute late run to get it done. The Jacksonville Jaguars. So we had a little confidence in, but I didn't think we were going to have them win the league right off the gate with Doug Peterson.
We both thought they were about a year ahead of schedule at least.
So best coach, best quarterback in the division, and I don't think it's close. We like Vrabel, but we'll get into them in a minute. But I think it's not.
I like them both, but it doesn't matter. They're both right up there.
Yeah.
Best quarterback
with the combination with Lawrence, that takes him over the top.
Absolutely.
They extended tight end Evan Ingram. They signed kicker Brandon McManus, close to my heart. Good kicker. I don't know what Denver's doing. Maybe they knew something I don't know. We'll see if he makes the team or whatnot. And then they get the little thing that everyone forgets. They traded for Calvin Ridley in the middle of last year.
Right.
They get Calvin Ridley back from a suspension from gambling.
And I was going to say, what's nice is it's not an injury comeback. I mean,
Correct.
He was healthy.
Correct.
So he did have some mental health issues before. Like, he did leave. You remember, he left the Falcons before because he had some, I don't know if it was depression, something to that effect that he was dealing with. And then the gambling stuff came out. So, but it's nice that you don't have a guy who's coming off injury. You got a pretty fresh, healthy guy.
I saw him running some routes.
Oh my God.
Dude, did you
there
see
was
that
a couple
video?
videos out there catching a ball, a Zot thrown that's by the fingertips. He looks fantastic.
I think Trevor Lawrence just built him a room in his house at this point. He's going to be
right.
Wow.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that is a huge pickup for them. Absolutely.
Just take away his DraftKings account for Christ's sake, can we please?
Yeah, I agree with you on everything that you just said. I can't believe I'm saying it, but they do seem to be – I'm not going to just take it away from Tennessee just yet. They had a shitload of injuries last year. So we'll see. I mean, even Henry got hurt last year. So I don't know if Jacksonville's fully there. But listen, momentum is a bitch. They finished the season really strong. Dude, they took the Chiefs right down to the wire. Like, I know. They played really, really well. They beat the Chargers in the playoffs. This is definitely a team with the green arrow pointing up next to it. No doubt about it.
Some notable games. Week 2, Chiefs home, right to your point. A little rematch there.
We go.
Maybe get KC early. Maybe surprise them at home. That'd be maybe some fun. At Buffalo, Week 5. At Pittsburgh, Week 8.
That'll be fascinating. The Buffalo game will be fascinating because it's not going to be a weather situation. They're going to be dealing with the weather yet. And that's a really good team.
I agree.
That's a tough road game.
That's a good game. That's a good game, maybe.
That's a really nice one to point out.
I'm thinking that's in prime time, but I'm not positive about that.
I wouldn't be shocked, yeah.
At Pittsburgh, Week 8. Niners home, Week 10. Bengals home, Week 13. And Ravens home, Week 15. So they have, at the end of the year.
Games are home.
Yeah, you're right. And they get those. They get those cold weather teams coming south. Is a lot easier to do it.
And it was interesting about that. Even I don't know when they play the Colts. Not that the Colts are going to be terribly tough this year, but that's indoors, so it's not even like if you have to play them in December. It's cold up in Indianapolis. It's fucking inside, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Very favorable schedule for them.
The team that blew the division last year, the Tennessee Titans. They signed wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins.
I think that's a big deal.
The only reason why I'm nervous about that, and again, this has nothing to do with anything. It's just one of those things that's like obvious and that should be pointed out. They signed Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Julio Jones at the end of their careers, and they all kind
of. Well, that Julio Jones one, you and I criticized terribly.
Oh, yeah,
what
are
you
awful.
doing, dude?
It was awful.
Yeah, what are you doing? I mean, it was clearly done.
And again, I said last year, Hopkins looked pretty good early because when he got off suspension, because I had him on my fantasy team, and then when Murray went down, whatever, it was a disaster. But so that's not really a true read.
It'll be interesting because Tannehill will come back too. So you'll have Tannehill throwing to him.
Yeah, that's true.
And Tannehill, who did he have? Corey Davis. I know you mentioned some guys that were long past their prime, but I mean, we think he's still a viable wide receiver. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get some chemistry working. And then you have like the running game with the deep threat wide receiver. It opens the field up a little bit.
Well, they went out. That's another reason they went out and they got 3 notable cuts. Robert Woods, wide receiver, to your point. They're cutting wide receivers. Offensive tackle Taylor Lewan, who's been there forever. They cut him.
Huge.
And center Ben Jones. They cut him too. Like, so they're rebuilding a little bit slightly.
They've been rebuilding that line for 2 years now, too.
They drafted Peter Saransky, Northwestern kid, who we liked a lot coming into the job. I think that's a safe, healthy pick, especially you're replacing a guy with another guy.
Agreed.
They drafted a quarterback for the second year in a row, and a guy that we didn't necessarily love, Will Levis, who was at the draft.
I liked him more than you did.
You did.
I don't love him, but I like him more than you did. Yeah.
I didn't like him more the fact, too, because he went to a team that already drafted a quarterback, so you got to wonder what they're doing now. Like,
well, that tells you that they don't have any faith in Willis.
Oh, no, and who did?
Yeah. Not us. We told you about that one. I think it's a great spot, too, though. I will just say this in Levis's defense. There's no expectation for him to play this year. Tannehill's
that's true.
A average to above average quarterback in this league. Slightly, but above average, like top 15, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, somewhere in that range. Puts up good numbers, doesn't turn the ball over. He's just what Vrabel looks for in a quarterback. You know, not too many risks, accurate, throws touchdowns, doesn't throw interceptions. It's a good spot for a young kid. Sit back, watch that guy. I mean, the guy's a pro. He's a pro's pro.
Yeah, for sure. This is a bold statement, and I didn't really put too much thought into it. It just came to me. This might be the most boring team in the league.
Always is. Yeah, always is.
They don't have any, like, again, no disrespect to Tannehill, but he's got no buzz.
None. No.
Henry's great.
Think about what did we just say? He's average to slightly above. Like, it's them.
Henry could have played football in any decade, just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But for him, it's like 6 yards in a cloud of dust. But even he's getting a little up there in age now, a little banged up. Defense always pretty good. Vrabel's a hard hat kind of coach. It's just this team. Listen,
no, they're not. You're right. They're
2
not
years
a prime time
we
team.
always pick against them. They win. We pick against them. They win. So I don't know, but it's just.
They're not a particularly fun team to watch. It's not exciting. There's no. Well, you just said it. There's no like buzz there. There's no fun thing to check out. And there's not, to be honest, there's not too many teams that are really like that.
They don't have a great home field. Like, it's okay. Like, it's just like this. You tune in 1 o'clock, like Colts, Titans. Great. Like 2017.
It's also on.
Yeah, great.
And Tennessee is on.
Yeah. Like, all right, cool. Like,
is that the Volunteers? No, it's okay.
Is that Vanderbilt? No, all right. Notable games: Chargers week 2, Bengals week 4, Ravens week 6, all at home. Ooh. At Steelers week 9, Seahawks come in week 16, and then at Jacksonville week 18. I hope that game's got. I hope that game's got something to play for. That'd be pretty cool.
That's the last game of the season.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that'll be fun. That should be fun. Nice scheduling right there by the league. Very nice. Yep, I agree with everything you just said. Vrabel, I like Vrabel a lot. He's one of the few defensive coaches in the league that I think is a very successful coach. I like him. But yeah, they're vanilla. You know, there's no sprinkles. There's no hot caramel. There's no hot fudge. There's no cherry on top.
No crunchies.
Yeah. 10-7, 9-8.
God.
Just okay.
You could chalk that up right now, too. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, it just is what it is, outside of, like, something crazy, some injuries that are crazy, like, they are what they are.
Indianapolis Colts drafted Will Richardson, a guy that we have a lot of question marks about.
Whew. For me, it's just one big question mark.
But they did do something that I liked that I didn't know about until today. I did a little homework. They signed Gardner Minshew. That
is correct. And that was somebody that I was kind of hoping the Jets were considering before they went the Aaron Rodgers route, because I actually think Gardner Minshew is a better player than some give him credit for. I don't think he's great. I just think he's better than some give him credit for. So I assume he'll be the starter. Until they get like a 3 or 4 game losing streak, and then they'll probably take a shot at Richardson at that point.
You think he's going to start right away? Oh, I thought Richardson's going to get the nod first, but I agree with you.
I highly doubt it.
He shouldn't. Minshew should be the guy.
I highly doubt it. I have to believe that when they see Richardson and Minshew in camp. Now listen, there's what I'll call political pressure, and when the fans start barking and the local TV shows and the local radio stations and ESPN and Fox Sports and CBS Sports and Yahoo Sports, when they all start like, where's Richardson, and then your GM starts thinking it, and then your owner, Irsay, starts thinking it, these things have a way of just taking over what's right. But nobody in their right mind, not even anybody who thought Richardson should be the first pick overall, thinks he's a first-year starter. Everybody acknowledged that he's raw as shit. So there's no reason on God's green earth that fucker should be starting game one.
One thing I do like about this with Minshew, Shane Steichen
had him last year.
Had him last year. Yep. Confident, knows the system. Great guy to lead. Great guy to teach.
Yes. By the way, teammates love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's absolutely universally loved in the locker room. And frankly, as what we've seen throughout his career, whether it was with Jacksonville or the Eagles, fans love to root for him, boy. They get behind him real quick. And sometimes that's easy because dude, that guy came into a game last year. Was it the Jets game? And threw for like 350 and 2 touchdowns.
Was it the Jet game or was it the Cowboy game?
I think he got smoked in the Cowboy game, and then they beat the Jets. I think it was Jets first, then Cowboys, and I'm pretty sure they smoked the Jets pretty handily, and they got beat.
I thought he put up good numbers against the Cowboys.
I think he put up good numbers against both, but
yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Let him down against the Cowboys.
Yes,
and we lost the Jets, and they beat the Jets. So
yeah,
the guy's good too. So it's not like what's the dude White last year with the Jets?
Mike White.
Like you're like, oh, he's the savior. Like, dude, are you watching the same game now? I mean, he's had some good games, but like Minshew, like actually big time numbers. He's got 60-something% completion percentage. Doesn't really turn the ball over. Again, for a young up and coming team, that's the guy you want in there. You don't want 50,000 turnovers, man. You don't want turning your team off when you have a very young team. You don't want to turn them off. You're trying to build something. You don't need a guy who's going to go in there and throw 3-4 interceptions a fucking game just because he can run really well. He's not ready to play at that level. He's just not.
I agree. Coming off a bad year, Colts are always pretty good. Coming off a bad year, coaching changes mid-year. Thing was a mess.
I like the coaching change, by the way. I'm there for it. I like Steichen. I'm there for it.
I like Steichen more than I like Gannon in Arizona, the Philly staff.
I agree totally.
I only have 4 games notable because they're not going to be in the prime time. They're not going to be in spotlight
Probably
too much
not.
this year.
Probably not.
Week 3 at Baltimore. Week 4 Rams come to town. Week 14 at Bengals and Week 15 Steelers. So I think I highlight all the NFC North games. I think that's going to be a really good division too. So
yeah,
they're all going to be kind of close games. And we'll wrap it up with the Houston Texans. Who knows?
What was their record last year?
They're like 7th new coach in 10 years. Who knows? It's a goddamn embarrassment.
How many wins did they have?
2 or 3. Drafted quarterback C.J. Stroud and defensive end Will Anderson and back-to-back picks at 2 and 3.
Love them both, by the way.
Defensive, I do too. I like Anderson a lot. He's gonna be a great player.
I know.
Stroud, I don't know.
You have a hard time.
Well, I don't have a hard. Listen, and it's not the Ohio State thing with a rivalry.
Other than that, they haven't had success at quarterback. Yeah.
Mike Tomczak, for Christ's sake, is their best quarterback. So, I mean, I just that's mainly like it just is what it is, dude. It's just that.
I hear you. It's fair. It is fair.
Defensive head coach, we don't love it. We've been on note.
But I like him.
I like him too.
I like him. I don't love the defensive head coach thing. Look at the trends, man. Just look at the trends.
And look at all the guys going to be in the hot seat defensive this year.
All of them. Like literally all of them.
Yeah.
Belichick potentially warm seat. McDermott definitely.
You think hot for McDermott? Or
what if they come in third this year? Is it crazy to think? Let me ask you something. Is it crazy to think that Buffalo could come in third place this year?
No, it's not.
It's not crazy.
No,
the Jets are significantly improved, and Miami is fucking loaded. Right? Let's just say Stephon Diggs gets hurt or Josh Allen misses a cut.
I know.
And they've underperformed, especially in the playoffs, the last 2 years in a row. They've actually gotten worse. So I think he's on the warmish seat. You know, Salah for sure. Now you got Aaron Rodgers, like totally in a very warm, hot seat. You know, so you look around the league. How many like big time defensive coaches are there? Vrabel's probably not. But if they have a bad season again, he will be next year.
Yeah, he will be next year.
So, who else? Not Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll's probably
Who's
fine.
the guy in No,
You know,
he's
Mike
an offensive
Tomlin's
guy.
fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Good. John Harbaugh?
That's a good question. He bought himself some time by putting in Lamar Jackson. I would think he's not on the hot seat right now, but if they miss the playoffs this year, which is possible, I think then he's on the hot seat next year. So he's on alert. Let's put it up. I'm going to say it like that.
Dude, I'm drawing
There's just not that many.
I'm drawing a complete blank. Who the hell's the coach of the Commanders? Rivera?
Oh, yeah. I would say he's on the warmer seat.
Yeah,
New ownership.
Yep.
New ownership. They didn't hire him. Now you're going with Sam Howell. Is it Sam Howell?
Yeah.
Sam Howell as your quarterback? Dude, you're potentially last place in the East. You think that ownership with Magic fucking Johnson is going to want to start over?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. So I think he's even. Now, the guy in Chicago,
Eberflus?
Eberflus is probably not. But if they have a bad season this year, they're looking for a new quarterback again. So
I know.
Which is, I think, is a coin toss here. I don't know that Justin Fields, just because you got DJ Moore. Suddenly, DJ Moore is a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah, when did DJ Moore become Chris Carter?
I don't know when this all happened. Nobody was talking about DJ Moore. I'm not saying he wasn't really good. He's really good. But he goes to Chicago. Suddenly, they got DJ Moore. Massive. I mean, come on. Stop it. It's Justin Fields, dude. Baker Mayfield's a way better thrower of the football than Justin Fields. So I don't know. Anyway, so like almost all the defensive guys are either warming up or they're already on the hot plate.
Couple notables. Week 1 at Ravens. Week 4 Pittsburgh home. Week 10 at Bengals. Week 13 Broncos. I threw them in there just hoping that they're going to be relevant then still. That could be a good game. And week 14 at the New York Jets. So we'll see where they're going to be.
Have we heard anything? Have you heard anything about C.J. Stroud, whether they've kind of said he's going to be the starter?
Not a peep. I haven't heard a word.
Do we know who their backup is?
Which is what you want. I was just going to ask you the same question.
Like,
is it our guy? Is he still there? Stills?
Probably. I know who you're talking about. Not Stills.
I always say Stills. Is it Mills? Mills.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the guy. Maybe.
For the short term.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, he just drafted a guy number 1, so. Yeah. I think I thought this is such an odd team. You and I both saw a lot of improvement. I don't know if the word is improvement. We saw a lot of fight in this team 2 years ago.
Yeah, more 2 years ago than last year.
We didn't love the head coach, but then we kind of loved the job he did. Last year with Lovie Smith, not so much. But even then, we saw a lot of games where they fight. They play really hard. So, and they did bring in some talent. Now, they didn't bring in superstars because ain't no superstars want to go to Houston right now. But they brought in some nice players, and I think there's some potential for improvement this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I still don't. They're not a playoff team. They're not even close. I don't even think they're a 500 team. But I think there's a chance they might be a little improved this year.
And listen, who's the coach?
It was a D coordinator for San Fran.
Yeah, he played linebacker right now. D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
They're gonna. He's gonna bring the best out of some of these guys too. So they're gonna play.
Absolutely.
They're gonna play some games. They're gonna.
Yeah. So and Lovie Smith was 107 years old.
I'm surprised Northwestern didn't call him. He's getting every goddamn wash-up job you can get.
It's incredible. So no, D'Amico Ryans is a young guy, fiery guy, emotional guy. I hope he doesn't do what Robert Saleh did coming out of San Fran, which was come to the Jets and then become stoic because you're a head coach now. Yeah. No, that's what we loved about you was that you were a fiery, motivational kind of guy. So I hope D'Amico Ryans continues that kind of thing when he goes there and is excited. And listen, you're going to have a really young, developing team. You need to be a little more fired up. You don't want to necessarily be so damn level-headed. You need to be like emotional and show them that you care and that you're in. Think of Dan Campbell. Like they all thought Dan Campbell was crazy. And now Dan Campbell looks like a genius. And you know what's funny? As Detroit starts winning a little more and more, Dan Campbell calms down a little more and more. So it's like you're developing your team. Be excited with them. And then once they start to develop and they look, now they're already elevated. You be the one.
Take on the personality of your head coach. That's what's been.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
so
sir.
I hope D'Amico Ryans does that and says, you know what? I'm going to stay fired up, and I'm going to keep these guys fired up. And whatever the results are going to be, it's going to be with us playing balls to the wall, fired up football. I hope that's what happens. I think it might, though.
Let's keep it football related here. Let's go to Evanston, Illinois.
Wait, do you want to do what order we think they're going to finish in?
Oh, I sure do. I apologize. Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
After you.
I'm going to go in the exact same order they finished last year. Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans.
Okay. I really had a hard time at the top for all the same reasons that we talked about already, which is like, Jacksonville's certainly ascending and looked really, really good at the end of last year. The quarterback play is so improved under Peterson. Forget it. It's like night and day. There's a lot of excitement, and warm weather teams love it, right? But I have a hard time just saying like, we're going to give up on Tennessee. Like, this is a team that year in and year out, no matter what, they're always there. They always find a way. You have an excellent head coach. You have a more than capable quarterback, always exceptional on defense. The idea of just giving up on them, I can't do it. So it was really kind of a coin toss for me between Jacksonville and Tennessee, but I did go with Jacksonville on top and Tennessee in second. Now, where you and I differ a little bit here is I did not go with the Colts. I do think that the Texans are a bit of an ascending team. I don't think they're going to be good. I don't think they're contenders. What I think you might see is a team who knocks off a couple teams that they're not supposed to, maybe makes some games a little more uncomfortable than they were supposed to be when they started. So I'm going with the Texans in third. And then I think the Colts are pretty rough. I think they're in bad shape. Although I do like Gardner Minshew. Who's he throwing to? Pittman? The rest of the team I struggle with. And again, to me, teams going in opposite directions a little bit. Colts have been going worse and worse and worse and worse every year. I hated the pick of Richardson as a quarterback. In fact, when we talked before, if they go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak and they're going to put Richardson in, I don't know that they win another game that season. I really don't. I see Justin Fields all over again. So, and he's currently on a 10-game losing streak. So good luck with that if that's where you go with that. So I got Jacksonville, Tennessee, the Texans, and the Colts.
I could see that. My bad about that.
No, we got you covered.
We'll keep it football related. We'll go to Evanston, Illinois.
Tell me what's going on here
for Northwestern. A hazing scandal in 2023 that's supposed to be going on for a long time. Everything you hear, again, Pat Fitzgerald, the head coach, a 2-time All-American there as a linebacker and been coaching there 17 years.
Was he the longest tenured coach in Division I football?
Kirk Ferentz.
Okay, you're right.
And I think there's someone 2, and then I think it's him at 3.
Right, he was up there.
I think the guy at Utah might have been 2. Winningham, maybe?
Okay.
I have a very hard...
What do we know about the hazing itself? Like, I heard maybe it was sexual in nature.
Yeah, so that's what I heard.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know, but I also heard that...
So we don't have details?
It's very foggy, and I think Pat Fitzgerald has a lawsuit going on here now.
I'm sure.
Because I think it's a lot of... This is the problem now with this fucking transfer portal and all this stuff. You get salty, you don't play, you think you're better, and then all of a sudden... I'm not saying this kid's making it up, but there's only one guy to put his face behind the thing here, and there's a lot of guys that were just cloudy behind the scenes.
And he's not there anymore.
Correct. No, none of them are there anymore.
A former player.
Yeah. So every single thing you hear about Pat Fitzgerald, he's military-like, he's great, he's a leader, he's well-mannered, good father, good coach, good man, blah, blah. Now, listen, you were a head coach, you know a lot of stuff that's going on with your program, and you have a lot of assistant coaches that you put in with your ears and eyes open to report to you about stuff that's going on. Locker room is a secret place for the players. That's their special place. I have a very hard time in 2023 thinking that this went on for a long period of time without anyone coming out and saying something. especially after the Penn State stuff and all this stuff down the line before years past. I think Northwestern also maybe has a cultural problem in general because they fired their baseball coach after 1 year for something that happened. And now a volleyball player came out and said something Now, is it coming out? Now, do they see, are the rats running from the ship here? Do they see like an open wound and like they're attacking the school? Do they see a payday? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I wish you knew a little bit more of the story that you can add to it. But to me, listen, I wasn't a hazy guy. I never got hazed when I was a freshman, so I didn't do it to any of the kids when I was a senior. I mean, yeah, did they carry pads and baseball bats and helmets? Yeah, sure. Did they load the bus with water? Yeah, but there was no touching. There was nothing on my watch. So, and that was 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. So, dude, I don't know, man. It's unfortunate because now if Pat Fitzgerald, even if he does get cleared, who's touching him?
Well, this is the problem. All right, so let me give you two different perspectives. I did not deal with any kind of real hazing in high school, but I did in college. I don't even know that I would have called it hazing, although it was kind of like initiation kind of stuff. And I had to do it at two different schools because I transferred back home.
Yeah.
And some of it was what it was. Okay.
Yep.
And I can promise you one thing. Coaches did not know. We made very, very sure that coaches either did not know or absolutely had plausible deniability. Like there were certainly no assistant coaches, grad assistants. Right. There was no one there. Okay. Now, what I went through then, which, we're talking like 30 years ago. So put that in perspective as well. It was a 1 day, 1 time, this is it, go through this and you're in. So I don't know how long, what it was. I didn't take a wiffle ball bat up my ass or anything like that. So I don't know exactly what went on here and for how long. Okay. But there certainly was initiation. And I can tell you that the coaches did not know. So that's as a player. From a coaching perspective, there are things that we know. There are things that we don't know. Like there are definitely things that go on that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then there are things that go on that we don't want to know. Okay. And what I mean by that is, think of like a neighborhood that has a neighborhood watch. In many ways, the neighborhood watch polices the neighborhood itself without having to call the actual police in to get the legal shit involved. Okay? That's very much what goes on in a football team, baseball team, basketball team, a sports team, and especially in college. It just is what it is. And as a coach, you kind of like, unless you hear something really serious, you don't want to know. Now, my guess is this. Now, this is just a guess because this has been my experience. My guess is that Pat Fitzgerald probably got wind that there was some kind of stuff going on. My guess is also that he doesn't know how severe, and we don't know how severe it was, but I guarantee you he doesn't know the detail. I don't care what you hear on ESPN. I don't care what you hear from Jalen Rose or any of these idiots, Jay Will, who's like, don't tell me coaches don't know. What happens in the parking lot of the school, Mike Krzyzewski didn't know about. I promise you Mike Krzyzewski didn't know every woman that Jay Will slept with, okay, no matter what he wants to say. Yes. Now, does that mean the coach shouldn't be held responsible? I don't know. Do you have to look into, does the head coach, is it his responsibility to look into every single thing that ever happens and find out how deep the rabbit hole goes? I don't know. Now, if he knew, again, evidence is everything. Evidence is everything. So if he knew, if it comes out like there's emails or texts or whatever, or DMs that he knew about this and said, hey, let's just leave it alone, the player, like that, it was sexual in nature, and he knew about it and just didn't do anything, you got a bigger problem. But what you have to prove to me is that he knew and didn't do anything or say anything. And I think that's a tough sell. Like, you have to prove that he knew. Because how do I do something about something I don't know about?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I prove a negative? How do I prove a negative?
Yeah.
Did you ever hit your wife? No. Prove it. Well, she doesn't have any bruises. She was never in a hospital. Like, how do I prove something that I didn't do or didn't know? So that's a problem. And then you brought out some things that I didn't even know about with Northwestern, which seems they seem to be a little trigger happy. Now, I will say this one last time. I don't know. Maybe they have details about what went on that the general public, including us, doesn't have. But they basically fired this guy within a day.
Yep.
And that's not due process. And if I was a coach, I wouldn't want to have a shit thing to do with Northwestern. Because now you're telling me that basically like 3 coaches at the snap of a finger got fired because of allegations without even anything being looked into. And I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. Shouldn't you at least? I've been a loyal servant to this university for 25 years as a player and a coach, maybe longer. How long has he been there since the time? I mean, basically graduated. Did he even play in the NFL?
17 years he was coached there. When
he was just a head coach.
When Randy Walker
was he an assistant before that?
Yeah, he was.
And a player before that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talk about a guy who's been in that system for 25 years, and basically in a day you fire him without any kind of due process?
I got breaking news. I'm sorry for that. I do.
No.
Joe Burrow carted off the field with lower leg injury.
Oh my God! Are you shitting me?
Keep practicing. What are you hitting the quarterback for?
How do you know they're hitting him?
Yeah, maybe he was running. Oh man. Oh,
dude.
No.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed.
That he was getting a payday too, bro.
He's gonna get the payday anyway, I think. But damn.
Keep practicing in July.
The Bills are happy.
The Ravens are really excited. The
Steelers. Yeah. So anyway, that's my thought on Fitzgerald, like whatever the hell's name. I just don't like that they moved on from him so quickly. You're not even going to give me the benefit that I've been a part of this. He's probably been a part of that program longer than the president of the university, longer than the athletic director, and you just move on from him like that. Yeah. That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up. You ask him to be loyal. You ask your players to be loyal, and you drop me like a bad habit before I even get a chance to defend myself.
A guy that's spent his whole life at Northwestern.
Has had multiple opportunities, not just at better colleges, but multiple times. I'm trying to think of some of the teams in the NFL that wanted him. I mean, multiple times. And maybe that's his next move: get out of college and go to the NFL, or just pack it in. He's
another thing that's kind of disappointing too. A lot of people are saying, "Well, they went 1-11 last year. If he was 10-2, would they have been so quick to let him go?"
There's an argument for that, for sure. Mm-hmm. There's an argument for that, for sure. But that's an argument if you're Penn State, if you're Ohio State, if you're Miami U, if you're Alabama. That's not an argument for Vanderbilt or
Stanford, Duke,
or Northwestern, or Stanford. Come on, man. What are we talking about? This is not a prolific program. The only reason this guy's taking you to Rose Bowls.
This is not a football vocational school. It's a place for higher learning.
So that's where I have the problem. Again, I don't know what they know, and none of us do yet. So if it comes out, if there's evidence that shows that he knew, like that there was some seriously disgusting shit going on and didn't do anything about it, I'd change my mind. I'll change my opinion. But until I hear that, the guy should at least had his day to defend himself and allow an investigation to take place. That only seems fair, for Christ's sake. For Christ's sake.
We stay in the Big Ten and we go to a place that I love, the University of Michigan. And
I didn't even know about this until today.
And Coach Jimmy Harbaugh. Coach Jimmy Harbaugh, who I have had a lot of positive and negative things to say over the last couple of years, more positive lately. Now you look at Jim Harbaugh, kind of like a Pat Fitzgerald, very honest, very in your face, very loyal.
Direct.
Very direct. That's a good one too. He is suspended for the first 4 games of this season. I think that's not definite yet, but I think it's leaning towards that way.
That's what I saw today.
For more or less buying a kid a cheeseburger before the NIL was
you gotta be shitting me.
Oh no, I'm not.
And you're going to suspend them now when there's literally being millions of dollars thrown around.
Well, that, and then how about Tennessee? 200 recruiting violations. Slap on the wrist?
Former coach, he's not there anymore.
Dude,
it's not there anymore.
Paul Feinbaum, who hates Harbaugh,
well, this
stuck up for Harbaugh.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not trying to.
That's how
I'm
you know.
defending Harbaugh.
No,
too,
I know you.
yeah.
I know.
I'm just saying, what else could you do in Tennessee?
This is how bad. No, you're right. This is how bad the NCAA is. It's a joke.
I mean, is it real? What did he do? I mean, was it really a burger?
Yeah, that's the main story coming out. It's a burger, and there's a recruiting violation. Like he watched a Zoom practice during COVID or some shit, dude. It's this. But this, how many years Miami, Ohio State, all these sanctions, dude, and this guy's getting suspended 4 games with the best team they've had in fucking in 15 years.
It's insane. It's nuts. 4 games.
The first 4 games are ECU, who's East Carolina for people who don't follow the lingo, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers, and they're all at home.
Shouldn't be an issue.
However, it should not be an issue, knock on wood.
You're right.
This is just another distraction that you don't need when you have a top 5 team coming back in the country. And I've been to the Appalachian State game with a full fucking team and a coach was suspended. So anything can happen, dude.
Anything can happen.
Do I think they're going to be fine? I do, because they have a lot of good assistant coaches. The 3 of them are ready to be head coaches right now, so I'm not overly concerned. But dude, he's the CEO of your fucking team. He's the face of your program. He's an alum. He's an All-American. He's one of the top 5 coaches in the country. And the reason why this is all happening is an absolute joke.
It's a joke. That's the problem I have with it. Like we're the fact that we're even discussing this now, the fact that they even were still looking into that when millions of dollars are being given out directly to players now. As soon as NIL started, this investigation should have been dropped. Because it's so nonsensical. It's not like he was giving away cars. Like, then fine, you want to still look into that, okay. But this is utter nonsense.
Well, the Fab Five thing, we've talked about that in the past on this podcast, where they, Chris Webber was given a couple of bucks, whatever, for dinner or lunch, and then and then the whole campus is walking around with his jersey. That's where one of these things is it's not balanced.
Absurd. Yeah,
it's absurd. And
it's absurd.
And people have been saying give Reggie Bush back his Heisman now because all this shit's a joke now. But
you can't do that. But I understand the argument. But it's just nonsense. There's no rules for what the NCAA can do and what they can make money on, and how do the players get a say in when the Big Ten or the Pac-12 negotiates a TV contract with ESPN or ABC or CBS. Right. No, you don't ask them what they think. You don't bring in the big name players and say, or the big name coaches and say, hey, what do you guys think about this deal? Because they're the ones that are impacted by it. Yeah. You don't give a shit. The NCAA does whatever they want with impunity, and the conferences do whatever they want with impunity. But you're going to break a guy's balls for buying somebody a fucking burger? Come on, man. What are we talking about? Right. You know what I'm saying? You already have, like, the NCAA already has kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a tainted image of like an abusive kind of organization. Yeah. An abusive organization that doesn't even really know how to run things in the first place.
Right.
Right? And then you're going to do shit like this that puts Paul Feinbaum in a position. It's like me defending Joe Biden. Like, I don't want to do it, but now you give me no choice. Yeah. Like, Paul Feinbaum has no choice but to defend because he tries to at least come across as like an honest broker. So you have no choice to defend a guy that you don't want to defend. But you have to because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. So
knock on wood, we'll be fine, but it's just one of these things that you don't want to have to deal with, going into a brand new year and an exciting year.
To your point, hopefully. If one of those games, if it's 17-13 at the half or something like that, that's going to be all that's talked about at halftime.
Exactly.
And I don't know, maybe that's something interesting, I guess, but it's bullshit nonetheless. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be how it is.
No.
And you know what also is nonsense? At least in the NFL, if you get a suspension for drugs or PEDs or something like that, there's a process. There's a process for appeal.
Yeah.
Who the fuck do you appeal? Who does Jim Harbaugh appeal to?
I know, exactly.
The organization that gave him the suspension? It's bullshit. It's total bullshit.
Ridiculous.
Maybe they should have a system in place where he should be able to appeal to like the BCS committee or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. But it's nonsense. It's utter nonsense that there's no process for an appeal either. So, whatever.
Well, honestly, you're lucky that this is the schedule this year, because next year I think they got Texas week 2, and that would have been a fucking disaster. Yeah. And not to mention you're hurting the fans. You get Texas and Michigan week 2, like all these. all these college football fans want these big highlight spotlight games with these,
Of course.
with these blue bloods, and now Jim Harbaugh suspended, like
Right.
with Manning's nephew at the helm, maybe, like, dude,
Right.
come on, man, it's ridiculous.
No, absolutely true.
To the British Open we go, over the pond.
I had a lot of fun watching this, by the way.
I did too. This tournament had everything, bro. Wind, calm, rain. Like,
I was just gonna say, we asked for some weather. We got a day and a half or so of like kind of calm with some wind, and then we got the British Open, and it was great.
A little bit of a boring Sunday, I'll say. A little bit.
Yeah, because of the big lead. Yeah.
Yeah, big lead.
But it was interesting because of who we had with the big lead.
That's
fair. John Rahm has a 6-shot lead. It's like, this shit's over and I'm walking away. But because it was Brian Harman, we're like, he's blown tournaments before and hasn't won a tournament in 6 years. So, I mean, people forget when Brooks Koepka won one of his U.S. Opens, Brian Harman was the one that was in the lead going into Sunday. And Koepka, not that Brian Harman played bad, Koepka went nuts and played very, very well. But, you know, and the other thing is, dude, he's 5'7".
Yeah, I know.
He's basically a child. My son, who's 12, is 5'6" and change. I mean, I'm being serious here. He's a little guy.
Pete, who was the man who called Brian Harman maybe take some money out?
I know. So I've been waiting for this. Because I was texting you all weekend, and for some reason, you think I have a fingertip on the pulse of God's arm that I could just say something and change.
I love doing it too. It's the best.
Somehow I'm the mush here, but I texted you. I think I texted you Saturday.
Saturday.
And I was like, dude,
because I was cutting the grass. I was like,
fuck, I'm gonna watch this guy blow
up. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this guy blow up.
You're like, you're a dick. I'm like, bro, he's rocking it, because then he got 2 or 3 birdies in a row, and it was all I could think about. You know, was like, dude, listen, for everyone who's listening, how many people enter one of these? Like 150, 100 and quarter, 120.
Yeah. I think it's
somewhere in the range of 100 and change, right?
I think it's 100. I think you had it right at 142 or something
like that, right? To pick the winner, folks, I'm just telling you, to pick a guy in the top 10, to pick a guy who's going to finish top 10 is really hard. Like if you pick Scotty Scheffler, who finishes in a top 10 every goddamn week, he didn't finish in a top 10. Like, it's hard just to pick somebody to pick in a top 10. To pick the winner, bro, this was bananas. And it wasn't wire to wire, but it was pretty goddamn close, man. It was pretty close. And by the way, he wins it going away by 5 or 6 strokes. So
you said little guy. He doesn't hit the ball a ton off the tee. However, he puts himself in every good position, avoided almost every pop bunker, putted his ass off.
Well, that I was just.
What was it? 55 out of 56 from putts under 10 feet. He hit
under 10 feet.
Holy shit, dude!
Insane. It's so funny, dude, because last week I was telling my girlfriend, because we were watching whatever tournament was on. I don't know what the hell it was.
The Scottish Open?
Maybe it was the Scottish Open.
Yeah.
And Brian Harman was like putting from off the green. And she's like, he looks like a little guy. I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, he's really tiny. I said, but he doesn't hit the ball really far, but he's a great putter. And then he putt, and this is what we were just happened to be watching him on TV, and he came up like 7 feet short on his putt. I go, except for that particular putt, he's really good.
See, you do have to figure out God's fire.
So what was funny is he takes the lead, and she says to me, isn't that the guy you were? I said, yes, that's the exact guy we were talking about last week. And I said, Scotty actually picked him to win the damn tournament. Like, as one of the sleepers that could win the tournament. Kudos to you, man. That was killer. And, you know, I thought it was a good point. And we actually talked about him, you know, last week. But, Jesus, you nailed that one. And he played fantastic. You know you're playing really well when you're the only one that's in, you know, double digits under par, and the next closest guy is like 5 or 6 strokes away. Like, that doesn't happen a lot in majors. You know, I'm not saying he's Tiger, but that's Tiger-esque. That's speed-like, you know, that's elite company. Guys don't do that shit. He did it, and it was really, really impressive.
Good dude, too. He was on DP, I think, Tuesday. Really good dude. Good personality, fun. Like, question for you. Does his waggle bother you?
No. He's a little bit of a slow – he's kind of – who's the other dude?
Patrick Cantley?
No. Oh my God, he's a tall, kind of has a funky swing.
Adam Scott, Jim Furyk.
No, I can't remember who the hell it is, but he was known for like waggling forever, like a real twitchy kind of guy. Even on the putting green, he's a real twitchy kind of guy. I have his name right on the tip of my tongue. I just can't.
Keegan Bradley.
Right, Keegan Bradley. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good call. It's not that bad because it's more of like a smooth little kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely emotion. He definitely has it down to a science. I'll give him that.
I think he's more just doing it until he has his feel in his spot. Whereas Keegan Bradley's like just a twitchy motherfucker. Like it's just weird.
Yeah, definitely.
So no, it doesn't bother me, and I don't necessarily think he's a slow player. It's just once he finally addresses the ball.
It's funny because it bothered me less as the tournament went on.
Because this is what we see in majors no matter what, right? Like as we get into late Saturday and then all day Sunday, especially the guys that are on the leaderboard, they're taking their time, bro. Like there's a lot on the line here. Number one, a lot of money. Number two, it's a major and it's hard to get one of these majors. So, if it was, the Travelers, maybe you'd have a little bit more of an issue with it, but no, come on, especially, like I said, the guy hasn't won a tournament in 6 years. Like, he's a guy who, there's a reason you picked him, which is he's always around.
Yeah.
He's always up there. He's always, like, playing really well, but he just, I always kind of say, like, maybe he just doesn't hit it far enough to compete with these guys, but the rest of his game is really, really good. Well, this is a course, and with that kind of weather, it's not so much about how far you hit it. It's about how straight and how well you putt.
Yep.
And, dude, he killed it on both of those.
I'm in a group text with a lot of the guys I play golf with on a regular basis, and they're like, dude, I would throw a club at this fucking guy already. Hit the ball. I'm like, yeah, but dude, we're like weekend warriors, dude. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, you're shooting 100. He's gonna win the British Open.
Yeah.
Then give him a little wiggle room.
He's gonna be drinking fucking Blanton's out of the Keurig later or whatever else.
Exactly.
With the jug.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you. Like, what's funny is when the weather was good, the course was so gettable. Like, I look at the course when the weather is clean, and I say, I think I could play there. Like, I'm thinking, like, I could go out there. I'm not going to play like them, but I'm like, I think I can play here. Huge, giant greens, wide open fairways.
Yeah.
As soon as that wind kicks up and it starts raining, it's a disaster.
I know. If you can lag putt, like I can make fives here. I think.
And you know what? You don't see these big swooping greens. Like they're pretty flat. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I think I could play there, but not like it was on Sunday. I wouldn't even show up. I would just.
Oh my God! Stavali was busting my balls because I'm like, do a little rain forecast. He goes, "Will you fucking man up?" I go, "Playing the rain's terrible. Like it's not my job.
It's like a job.
I'm going in to have fun.
Yeah. I don't want to pay to do homework.
Fuck, man. Stevie busted my job. Rory again puts himself in contention. That one bad day kills his whole tournament, and he couldn't make a putt on Sunday.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up my girlfriend again here, okay? Because she's
got a lot of publicity on this.
She's getting some play today, so I'm gonna give her some credit. Rosie loves sports, so she'll watch anything that's sports with me, right? But she doesn't know golf; she just likes watching. So we were watching, and Rory is just like. So when Rory's not putting well, it's not like his putts are going off the friggin' green or he's missing by a country mile or he's hitting it 7 feet past the hole. Like the ball's looking in the hole. It's almost
I know.
It almost feels like bad luck.
Or it's dead on and then it breaks and it stops right before then. Like, how'd that stop so fast?
So out of nowhere, she just goes, he's really not a great putter, is he? She doesn't watch enough to like.
Yeah.
But it's when you see so many holes in one tournament.
Yeah.
But it's just so odd because it doesn't look like he's a bad putter. It looks like he just missed. Oh, he just missed that one. Oh, he just came up short. Like, how many times you see him come up short on a putt, but the line was dead nut center of the hole.
It's crazy.
But then when he does hit it hard enough, it just skates off the edge of the hole. You're like, this poor bastard can't catch a break. It just feels like bad luck. But when it's that often over that many years,
something's off.
It's not just bad luck.
Yeah.
It's just slightly off, but it is what it is. And then when my point to bring her up is to say, when the casual fan notices it.
No, I'm just teasing them.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but I don't just mean her. I mean anybody who's watching casually. Like, there's people who only watch the majors.
Right.
When that person notices that his putting is like so-so or he misses, it's something that needs to be talked about. You know,
Yeah.
it's clear. Because listen, as far as ball striking goes, if you were to like take a video and say, I want to make a video of the perfect golf swing from tee to green before the putting, it would be Rory probably.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It is probably the most perfect swing in the game right now. He hits it a million miles. He drives it as straight as anybody when it comes off. You know, he hits great irons. I mean, his iron play is bananas sometimes. Fucker just can't putt, dude. It's so sick. It's so sick.
I would apologize to the people who don't like golf talk, but fuck them because it's the last tournament of the year. And we want to talk.
Yeah, they'll get over it. They'll get over it.
Oh, and there's a Ryder Cup this year too, so we'll have fun with that.
Can't wait.
John Rahm, incredible player. Really love him. I love his game. I love him. I like that he gets a little fiery, but then could calm it down. Where years ago he couldn't.
Correct.
Thursday was ready to freak out, and then all of a sudden Friday, Saturday was unbelievable. Sunday was just too far back. It was just hard to, like you said before, it was just hard to come back from. You're down 6-7 strokes coming in 8 strokes.
Listen, nobody put up a big number on Sunday. It was just it's hard. It's hard, dude.
Sepp Straka played well. He was hitting a lot of. He was very.
When you see these guys constantly wiping the brim of their
dude, it's torn off his hat like
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah,
Jason Day took his hat off. Like
yes, they're putting it on backwards.
What are we doing? It's what happened to Justin Thomas this year?
Dude, Justin Thomas right now isn't even in the FedEx Cup.
I know.
He's outside the FedEx Cup.
And he's livid about it, too, because all his buddies are in it.
I'm saying he's pulling a Jordan Spieth from like 2 years ago. You know, like
Ricky's got a better shot of being in it than Justin Thomas.
There's no doubt about it.
Who would have thought that in fucking March?
Well, you bring up a great point. If Justin keeps playing like this, is he automatically on the Ryder Cup team? I mean, he's not even in the...
No, because teams aren't picked yet, right? No way.
This is what I'm saying. So now listen, the whatever, the guy who's the coach, the manager, or whatever they call it.
Zach Johnson and Couples is on the committee, and there's a couple other guys.
Right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Now they could always put him on as
an alternate.
What is it? The top 8 guys make it, and then the manager has a chance to decide on another 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think it's 12 total, but 8 like really are gotten after it or something like that. Yeah.
8 you have to be somewhere in the standings. Yeah, something like that. Whatever.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But he's not even in the FedEx Cup standings. To think that Justin Thomas might not even be able to compete for the FedEx Cup championship, it's inexplicable.
Yeah,
I mean, it's inexplicable. He's one of the top 5-6 players in the world.
He's got 2 majors. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's tough to watch, and it's sad because I love watching him. He's the opposite of some of the guys. He's the opposite of Rory. He's a phenomenal Sunday charge guy. He's a phenomenal like late Saturday, all day Sunday, make a charge, make a run, put up a fucking number, and say, "Hey, come get me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, he gets hot with the putter. So yeah, it's just. It happens, man. These guys, they just lose it, and then they get in their own head. Listen, the one thing about golf that's maybe different than a lot of other sports, there's so many moving parts in your swing, dude. Your feet, your hips, your hands, your wrists, your elbows. Where's the club coming up? Is it coming up high? Is it coming up flat? Is it somewhere in between? Like, are you rotating fully? Or your hips coming through first? Is your head staying still? There's so many moving parts. And if one thing is off by 1 inch, you're in the rough. Like, that's how crazy it really is. So, it's tough to see.
That's like when one of us put one down the middle, like you could draw a line from the tee box to your ball, and it's going, pretty cool. Yeah, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like
that's what that's supposed to feel like.
Like every one of those 12 things you just said was fucking perfect. Like
on point.
Like,
one time out of 87 shots.
And then he next one 9 yards. You're like, God damn it! Like
a little worm burner.
You ready for some trivia, Coach?
Absolutely, my favorite part. You know what I'm gonna do by next week? I'm gonna have music. I'm gonna have some music.
Ooh, I like that. We're gonna have some bets coming up soon.
Absolutely.
We're back.
Trivia and bets. It doesn't get any better.
A week away from the Hall of Fame game with your Jets too, by the way.
By the way, come this September. First of all, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to reach out to Michael Cohen from
yes, please.
So we're going to get him on to look at a little NFL preview this year. Come this September for the Bump and Run Sports Podcast, Season 4. Season 4, the beginning of our 4th season.
Love it, bro.
Doing the podcast. Unbelievable. But yeah, I'm going to get you some music for this. It's only fair. Frankly, it's the part I look forward to the most the whole time. So
excellent.
What do we got today? You were excited. You reached out to me. It's like, ho, do we got something for trivia today.
So we're going to be doing some NFL, and then we'll mix in some college, and then if there's a big story, I'll try to mix in that once in a while, change it up a little bit. World Series, playoff baseball, start of NBA, we'll mix it up as far as we can. But we're mostly football on this show, so
for sure.
We're going NFL. Training camps are open. Number 1. Who is the oldest team in the NFL? A, Packers. B, Cardinals. C, Bears. D, Giants.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but I actually think it's the Cardinals. But I think it's not my answer yet, but I think my answer is going to be the Bears. I feel like all 4 of them were like original teams. Now I feel like I'm getting tricked here. Am I getting tricked here? So how can there be one oldest team? Like they had to play somebody. So that would also be the same age team. I'm going to say all of the above.
You'd be wrong.
What?
So you are getting tricked here. It's just not the way you think you're getting tricked here. The answer was the Cardinals.
Damn it!
I love to say yeah.
I hate trivia. I hate when I say the right answer and then change my mind.
They were once the Chicago Cardinals.
Right. Oh,
my God. Oh, I love... Dude, this is the best because you get so... I
hate when I say it and then walk away from it. It was like there was an instinct that told me this is the right answer.
It's uncanny that you do it all the time.
It's so awful. Go ahead.
Question 2.
I'm already sweating.
You should get this one.
All right.
Who holds the record for most career sacks?
Career sacks?
Michael Strahan, Reggie White, Julius Peppers.
I hate that you threw Julius Peppers in there because I feel like he's a freaking compiler. Because otherwise my answer is Bruce Smith. All right. I got to go with my instincts and say Bruce Smith.
You'll be correct, sir. Good job.
Right.
How many sacks? You got a number?
112.
Way higher.
160?
200 on the money.
How many Julius Peppers have? Do you have that number?
164.5.
Is he number 2?
Top 5.
Okay.
Reggie, I think, has 198.
Yeah, I kind of knew that Bruce Smith. Anyway, yeah. Go ahead.
All right, this one's more of a fun question. Just have some laughs and go back and forth here.
Oh boy.
How many teams did Ryan Fitzpatrick play for? 7, 11, 9, or 10?
I actually think it's 11. Because I'm pretty sure it was double digits. I actually thought it was higher than 11. 7. It was 7, 9, 10, or 11.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say 11.
It is 9.
9.
Can you name some of them?
Well, I certainly can, unfortunately. He played for the Jets.
Yes, he did.
You got a
quarter of the league left.
The Washington Commanders.
Yep.
Formerly known as the Redskins.
And the football team.
The football. I think that's who they were when he played for. I think they were the football team.
Fucking stupid.
I'm like totally drawing a blank. There's so many teams. The Dolphins?
Yes, he did.
With Tua? Give me one.
Rams. That's where he started his career.
Did he really? I never would have guessed that one.
You done guessing?
Give me one more.
Bengals. Jeez. You should get 3 of these 4. Awesome press conference with a very high personality wide receiver. Wore a lot of bling to the press conference.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But I don't remember.
Tampa Bay.
Shit. Go ahead, just go.
The other 3 teams in the AFC.
Did he ever play for the Bills?
Yep. The other 2 teams in the same division. We might have talked about it today.
Houston?
Yep.
And he didn't play for the Colts.
Nope.
He didn't play for Jacksonville.
And
He
that
played
leaves.
for Tennessee.
Yeah.
He played for Tennessee. That could have taken a while. That could have taken a while. 9 teams, dude.
The Houston Oilers he played for.
You know what's crazy is how many of those teams did he start for? Like most of them.
I'd probably say 6 out of 9, right?
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
I don't see him starting with the Rams. I mean,
No, I don't think so.
but then who
Yeah,
knows?
he started for the Jets. He started for Miami. He started for the Bills.
Tampa Bay.
He started for Tampa. He started
I remember
for
for the
Houston.
Titans.
Yeah, I mean, he started for it's bananas. But yeah, he couldn't stick with any of them. He had I will tell you this. He had a really nice run with the Jets. Well, at least the first year was really nice. They were a fun team to watch. And you know what? He's a cool guy. He's very like Gardner Minshew, like in the sense of like doesn't have the biggest arm, not the most athletic, but really, really smart. Obviously, he went to Harvard.
Harvard brain, yeah. Yeah, he's like Minshew. Yeah, kind of. No,
Yeah,
I know who you're going. I know who you're
Washington
going.
State is just like that.
It's Harvard of the West.
But real smart, tough fucking guy. Players love him. Like everywhere he's been, players love Fitzpatrick. Plus, he does have a way of like winning, and he's always winning when the coaches kind of want him to lose so they can go to somebody else.
I know.
Like that's definitely what happened with Miami, if you remember.
Yep.
When Tua was there, they were on their way to the playoffs, which they were supposed to be like a last place team. They're on their way to the playoffs, and they make a change. And even he was like, I don't know what just happened.
Wasn't that with the coach with the lawsuit too?
Yes. And I don't know if it was
something.
Flores, yeah. And I don't think it was his choice that they switched too. I think there was pressure put on him to make the switch.
And listen, and I know Tua has come out and said great things about him. He helped them a lot.
Everybody does, everybody does, because he's a good guy. So that was good shit. I thought it was more, but yeah, that 9 teams, a lot of teams. Now the only guy I can think of who's been on more like as a quarterback also was a Jet. Also was
McCown.
McCown, yeah, I think he was on 13 team. Might have been 13 teams.
Oh, we gotta look into that. Steve DeBerg, what was he like?
Oh my god, yeah.
He was like Joe Montana's security guard. He went to like.
So yeah, like I think he's the only one as a quarterback. But I don't think McCown started on most of those teams, whereas Fitzpatrick started most of those teams, man. Like it's crazy. And I mean started like the season, like really started as the starter. Freaking crazy. Awesome, man. What is that? 108?
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. Great job.
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
be back at it next week. What are we gonna do? AFC
North.
North.
Into the North.
Should be fascinating. All right, my man. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
Look at that. We did it in half the time you thought.
Beautiful. That's fantastic. Well done.
Cool, man. All right. I will. I'll have this out tonight. No problem.
Awesome, bro. Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Talk to you later on.
Later.